Alright, what's up yins guys? Time for another video. This one I'm going to talk about another one of the biggest lies that mainstream religion will try to tell you. It can be some TV religions doing this, but a lot of religions, some of our churches, some of our parents have went to, done this. And I'll say once again, if you're black or white, like some of us had friends that were both black or white, and we had experience with both black and white churches, did a lot of slaying in the spirit stuff, but yet at the same time I do encourage and condone, you know, or permit or say that you should be all right, try not to laugh because of some of the stuff that I'm talking about here, excuse me. Even though I think the way I do, whether you're black or white, I do think that you should be superstitious in a practical way, if that's what I would like to call it. But at the same time, I condemn a lot of practices. Some stuff I make fun of, but there's some stuff that I believe, but bear with me. What I'm talking about here today is the people who want to label something sorcery and devils, tools of the devil, or practicing of magic or whatever. And I'm not just going to pick on the people who hold the King James Sheep Bible either, but I am to talk about right now the people that can determine if something is sorcery or whatever the hell, just because they hold in the air the King James Sheep Bible, anything that they practice up there in their churches, just because they hold that Bible in the air, that's something that they permit is okay, which is no different. And yeah, I'll laugh about these ones too that they rebel against that shit, or rebel against their mommy or daddy with the Aleister Crowley nonsense and say, oh, they're Satanist or whatever, because their way of rebelling against mommy and daddy, who is this way in church, but then behind closed doors they scream, swear, and chain smoke at each other. I laugh at that shit too. And if some of them talk to me like, claim you have some kind of power or whatever, it's by demons. Okay, do something right now. I mean, I'll laugh at them. But anyway, for example, yeah, one charlatan calling out another charlatan. Totally ass ridiculous. And you know, back when my mother was younger, I'd argued with my mother even when I was younger about this shit, how they say certain things is real. Some of these fake miracles, okay. Yeah, and yeah, they talk about these demonic powers, these people that have these demonic powers, they're practicing in this magic. But yet they'll go up on a podium with their audience, whether it's television, religion, or somebody in a local church, like a different financial levels of church, and do shit right in front of people. Well, yeah, you have the Benny Hinn stuff. You're falling down on the floor, and that woman in the air, woman looking at people crying. They're holding their hands and they get going like this, and they're crying. And you got somebody like pointing their finger, and they're touching somebody right, and they're going down. And I would argue with my mother with this. She would say, I'll try to say this without laughing, and I'm not here just to make a whole thing bashing my mother, and I don't recommend you doing it. I'm saying this for example. I don't care if it's my mother and there's other people. The stupidest thing they'll say is, oh, I can tell if this is fake or not, because it's fake when they're pushing you down. When the Holy Spirit is really at work, you just float down. When the hell do you ever float down? All it really is, I'm like, no, all this shit really is you're in front of a lot of people and you're compelled to go along with it and just float down or lay down or whatever, because you don't want to look like, oh no, you're resisting it somehow, and you might be the devil, and you might have your friends just shunning you or all that shit now. Oh, and I visited a church when I was younger too, mostly black, that were doing that stuff, right? And you got to be able to tell it's fake. I'm not bash anybody that's their weight class and all that, but whether you're black or white. But anyway, they were doing this, and there was a really big woman. You know, remember you have that, she would be a dead ringer for Nell Carter. You ever remember that old 80s TV show, anybody my age, called Give Me a Break? A household, a white family, two daughters and all that, and the white guy's police chief, and Nell Carter, you know, there's their housemaid. It was a spin-off of all these other shows, like Different Strokes or Webster, where I don't want to spend the whole time in the video about this. Okay, shows you laugh at, you know, the entertainment, meant to be fair, have create good racial relations, like propaganda. And a couple of the shows I mentioned too were actually advocating and, well, they want to destigmatize in a positive way, to be fair, white groups adopting black kids. But anyway, I actually put the extra information with Different Strokes and all that, and that extra information, but I was more like talking about the show Give Me a Break, which was just unlike, you know, what I'm saying is all unlike Different Strokes and Webster, the racial relations. They had that show where it was all white, 8 people, the one guy that's the police chief, 2 daughters that are white, and black woman who was their housemaid, kind of like the equivalent of Alice in the Brady Bunch, but you know what I mean. And then we also watching a Jeffrey, but you get the idea. I don't want to ramble too much. I almost got into rambling, you know. There's stuff like about those shows, it's all whole different. But anyway, her stature. Okay, getting to her stature. Getting back to what I was talking about. I visited this church. And oh yeah, it's supposed to be some power. You're floating down and you're actually virtue signaled to lay down because you don't want to be the only one. It's like, and I'm just avoided that stuff. But anyway, everybody else, it's like it's some power. They're all laying down. Nobody's like falling on the floor. And there's also a trust fall kind of a thing too that people do practice. But anyway, this one big woman. Okay, if there was some real power going on, either David Copperfield or the Holy Spirit going on or whatever, real big woman, it was like 4 guys trying to hold her and lay her down on the floor. So, because you know, somebody, a real big woman, black or white, is going to damn fall real hard and go to the hospital. And talking in parentheses, I heard some stories somewhere, the Benny Hinn that you see clips of on YouTube, he settled some kind of lawsuit, settled out of court. You'd have to look it up. I don't know all the details, which I would say is a hole in this stuff, in this philosophy too. It's practically admitting there was no Holy Spirit in there. It was just, well, anyway, if you get this far in this video with my rambling, the people that advocate and push this kind of behavior, they also, because they have a Bible in here, say that this is okay, and say everything else is sorcery. And I'm not even defending all this astrology, those charlatans either. People with the horoscopes. And recently was looking at Woodward TV, which I agree with him. There was some woman now, and Zelensky with the that Russian invasion going on. Zelensky, he was consulting and associating with her too. That's a whole other bunch of rambling, but anyway, I'm trying. Yeah, you're not going to defend that astrology, and there's complete idiots too. Oh, I want to practice that astrology. I don't care for those Bible thumpers. But what I'm getting at here too is, yeah, they're talking about all these other people, which I laugh at that shit too. Oh, there's people with astrology, and somebody wants to say, "Oh, I'm a witch, I'm Satanist, or I'm this or that." And then there was some YouTube videos I was watching with this one woman. She has a social media influencer. Everybody giving her money, probably because some dude simps at her. A lot of dudes are probably giving her money because they're simps, but she's passing herself as a hippie and some spiritual guru, you know. Don't want to go on and on about that. You can I can show you some videos. Some of you guys maybe links to some videos, you know, if you look at this video. But anyway, with the point I'm getting is, well, okay, those people will tell you what power of the devil is, stuff that you do, and don't do that. You don't invoke this, and you don't do astrology, and this stuff is magic. It's powers of the devil. But they can go and do shit like that they're doing, and you try to say, oh, that's sorcery too. Oh, shut up, you Satanist. Shut up, you're a person of the devil trying to defend us. And yeah, a lot of them making big money and drive around in nice cars and all that shit too. Which, going back to, not bashing my mother here, but when I was a young kid, even though I had these arguments with my mother about shit like this, like, while I was being sarcastic here, people like her and other people thinking, oh, you just float down and they're not just pushing you. That's how, major facepalm. But yet she told me a lot of stories, and other people told me stories which, even when it was not the 800s, when it's not even the 1800s, we were in the 1980s and the 1990s here, and some of this bullshit still works. My mother talked about it. Some preacher, not even on TV, used to go to these churches, and they'll hold their finger going like this and praying or do some kind of thing, and somebody be getting up out of a wheelchair like the power of God is coming either out of their finger or... And you know, somebody, it's just... come on, they can't be disabled. They're getting right up out of the wheelchair. It's a big act. It's a show. And you can picture a lot of people going to these dang churches, right? This has been done. Somebody really getting out of them, holding their finger like this, and the person's getting up in a wheelchair like they're healed. People have done this shit for like about 2 or 3 centuries already, when this country was young, and even before we came to this country, right? Religious snake oil salesman, a religious charlatan, talking about the astrology charlatan, you know, and snake oil salesman. Oh yeah, you hold the King James Sheep Bible. The stuff that you say is powers, creating fake miracles that are staged. I mean, one example, somebody getting out of a wheelchair. You got any examples? Go ahead and tell me. There's a few other ones, but I don't even want to ramble and make us an hour-long video. But yeah, and you go tell people, okay, somebody holds a Bible in the air, and they're behind a podium with a bunch of people clapping like trained baby seals. They're an authority, and they'll tell you, oh, this is a power of God. And you don't go to that church or whatever, and you say, wait a minute, wait a minute, that's what do you call it? The word, a couple of words for it. They're against practicing of magic or whatever. Oh, that's sorcery. Yeah, you want to tell them, oh, you want to tell these people that run these churches, well, look at that. That looks like sorcery to me, but because you hold a King James Bible, you can see how much you can push the envelope, because you're an authoritarian Bible thumper, right? Which I don't care for the authoritarian New Age movement either. I'm not sticking up for that, but one accusing the other of sorcery, you know what I mean? At least one of the other side will even admit they're practicing sorcery and justifying it, you know what I mean? At least you get some preacher, even though the only reason they're up there is they got people training like seals. There are preachers over there that will say right away, talk about the Jezebels, even though they got people clapping like baby seals, and they're saying at the very least you don't see them making people fall down on the floor and touching people, say they're going to float down like the power of God, or have their finger in the air like saying somebody's getting up out of a wheelchair, or like Benny Hinn, you have they're holding their hand like this, or whether they're touching them, sometimes they're touching them or not, and they're going down on the floor like it's some kind of power or something. No, they don't have some kind of a power at all. They're gesturing, signal and gesturing their followers to literally, their sheeple to literally lay down and go along with it out of fear of you're just standing there. You don't want to be the only one standing there. Or you might as well just leave the church at the end of the service and never go back, or just leave in the middle of the service and just never go back there. Yeah, I mean, what the hell? That it would pretty much suck if the only two, both sides thinking they're it. If it's got to really suck if there's only two places to go in this world. The people with all the astrology and the secular stuff, and all the people all have sex with anybody they please, or go to the church where all the sheeple, and then because it's a safer zone and more civilized, because you want to be separated from all the bullshit, right? And just tolerate all the nonsense. Or you can just pray at home or hang with people at home. Or you start your own church and you can be accused of being a cult. And so many of those that were supposed to be of God may have meant well, had some good intentions. You can argue some of them meant well, and they became a cult and started doing crazy things. But yeah, they'll do their ritualistic. Some of them will dance in circles or whatever. Or everybody, the whole congregation, just right at the command and the gesture of the preacher behind the podium or whatever. And like I said in another video, they'll yell all excitedly, "Oh, preacher!" Like, and everybody screaming and roaring, cheering, and where the whole crowd is roaring, like it's like the same way a whole crowd goes wild when your favorite football, basketball team makes a basket or a touchdown or baseball home run. Their crowd is roaring just because they get louder. I mean, well, at least the sportscaster gets you excited for good reasons, you know what I mean? But let's not go there and but anyway, yeah, pot calling the kettle black. Yeah, speak against sorcery, but yet you'll condone and encourage theatrical, fake miracles that are literally staged, and it literally becomes peer pressure to go along with it. Yeah, peer pressure is on both sides. Yeah, you got this far in this video, you got peer pressure. Yeah, you can have good people that that are Christians and are conscientious objectors. You can be a Christian and be a conscientious objector of some other lifestyles that you want to stay away from, absolutely. And some of those that I speak of also, they have very valid points about peer pressure. But peer pressure actually is inside organized religion too, to go along with bullshit. Well, of course, you know, in the early days of YouTube, the amazing atheist who also no different than a church, or somebody called a raging atheist. Oh, damn all those people who have fancy cars and money, and give me your money and get rich. And but yet give me your money in the name of atheism. Yeah, that's really smart too. That's another story. Yeah, the early day. Yeah, welcome the earlier, when YouTube was a lot younger. You had a lot of people, atheists, say, give me PayPal. Yeah, and then talk about their organized religions that are asking for money. And but yeah, my thing about a lot of organized religion. Yeah, that's sorcery. Sorcerers calling somebody else sorcerers, Charlatans calling somebody else charlatan.